Thank you for tuning in this morning. Today is Thursday, January 28th, 2021, and this is Join the Discourse. My name is Jaden Duenas, and this is a show that I started doing just recently, just kind of testing things out, getting used to it. But the premise of the show is to join the discourse, and a discourse is a sort of scholarly discussion of sorts. You usually need more than one person for that, and that's where you can come in. Real quick, I'm gonna just turn that volume down. Discourse is a scholarly discussion. You need more than one person for that, and so you can find that at jd-originals.com. You can join my Discord server there. You can see my stream there. You can join if you have anything to say. You can send me a message. You can also just DM or send me an email. I'll be on the lookout for all of those. But remember that yesterday was Holocaust Remembrance Day. It's important to remember the events of the Holocaust. I'm not going to be spending too much time on that as like a discussion for this week at all, but especially now in the face of rising extremism, rising nativism, anti-Semitism, racism, like all of these isms, all of these things that we need to, purge from our society, honestly. Remember to support your local Holocaust memorial sites. They really do play a vital role in bringing historical awareness for all people. In Illinois, if you're around there, I know that there's one in Skokie, kind of near-ish Chicago in the suburbs. In Boston, I believe there's one in Boston Common. And so just do what you can. Keep yourself informed about history. Learn from the past. Teach other people as well about the past. Teach them what you learn. And then let's protect each other as we move forward in the face of these things kind of making a resurgence in this new age. But today I want to take a break from such serious topics. I really talk about a lot of politics here. I talk about genocide and mass incarceration, and I talk about all these very harsh subjects, things that are difficult to grasp, and conversations that can sometimes they really shouldn't be dividing, but unfortunately people have taken an opposite stance. And so today I want to take a break from such serious topics, and I want to talk about something that's more of just a conversation, just something to discuss together. And that is the intentionality of the universe being everything around us, being every single atom, every single life event that happens to us. And I want to ask this question: does everything happen for a reason? Ultimately, we can really never know, but I want to just share my own thoughts, and hopefully that sparks some monologue for yourself, some ideas for yourself, and we can just think about this together. So if you have any thoughts, I'll get to that at the end, but leave them in the comments, send me a DM, whatever. Again, this is Join the Discourse. And so to think about this a bit more abstractly for a sec and just kind of conceptualize this, let's consider a poem, okay? A poem is a series of words, right? But it's created by the human brain. There are neurons that are firing. There are neural connections being made. In some ways, it's very chaotic. There's a clashing of words coming together to form what we perceive as poetry. But these words artistically arranged by the human mind, and it's truly incredible. But despite the chaos and kind of the randomness and the artwork of poetry or any art form, there is a certain logic to it, right? There's the logic of just how a brain works, how neurons work, and how the logic of cause and effect in our brain. This happens in here, and then this happens. But there's also a logic and a grammar to poetry itself. There's a certain language that's used. You read it from right to left, or depending on the language, you might read it left to right. And in other words, a poem arises out of both chaos, like randomness, and logic. There is a plan that the poem follows. There is a structure. But for most people, we can't understand that structure. We're not English majors. We don't understand all the intricacies of poetry, the rhythms, the alliterations, the allusions, the history behind it. And even for English majors, they don't know the history of every word ever spoken, right? Every poem ever written. And so they can never fully understand poetry in all 100% of poetry's context. That can never be fully understood. And we can only ever have a partial, limited understanding of poetry and the logic of poetry as humans, just because we are limited people, right? And so I look at the universe, the physical and the metaphysical, as a poem, right? It is an artistic mashing of concepts and ideas and things and atoms and and energy, all different types of things. It's this totally random, chaotic mess, but it also has a structure, right? Albeit a very complex structure. There is a reason for the universe to exist. There is a reason for its existence, a cause and effect. There's a logical cause and effect that it follows. There are the laws of physics, right? The laws of chemistry. And those are, human concoctions as an attempt to understand the way that the physical universe operates. Even the laws of nature, right? That's a human understanding of how we exist in the universe and our metaphysical selves, the way that we interact with each other. And those are just our very limited understanding. And all of these attempts to understand the laws of physics, the laws of chemistry, they're just an attempt to understand the universe as it applies to us, an attempt to figure out sort of the logic, the cause and effect of the universe. But all of our, understandings, they're always going to be unsuccessful ultimately. We can never understand in full, like I was saying about poetry. We can always chase a full understanding, but we will always ultimately land with a partial and limited understanding. We can only ever partially understand the universe. And that's all just to say this, right? Just because we don't understand the logic of the universe doesn't mean that there isn't a logic, right? Just because you don't understand the structure doesn't mean that there's a structure. And just because you don't understand the reason for things happening doesn't mean there isn't a reason that they happened, right? I believe that the universe is entirely intentional. Every single intentional according to that cause and effect logic, right? Not intentional as in its own conscious entity causing things to happen, but it's intentional in the sense that every atom bonds together according to a logical universe, right? Every transfer of energy occurs according to the intentions and the logic, the cause and effect relationships of the universe. And those happen entirely outside of our own intentions. Again, the universe is what is intentional. And so are we. We're intentional, but our intentions just don't matter. Our intentions are just subject to a much greater logic of the universe, the much, not a greater understanding, but, the rules of the universe outweigh our own rules and our own intentions. We are subject to the logic of the universe before we're subject to our own intentions. And so logic, intention, those are kind of difficult words to use in this context, because we have to consider like unexpected events that come, unexpected diagnoses, breakups, addiction, poverty, starvation, white supremacist coups that try to take over our government. All these things, it's hard to think of these as logical and intentional and think that, this happened for a reason. But we do have to remember that those things do happen for a reason. There is a logic, cause and effect. Poverty and starvation happen because not the subjects of poverty and starvation, but somebody else did something to cause that in some way. Addiction happens because, the series of events, the sociological events that cause someone to pick up a drug and put it into their body. All of these things happen for a reason. There is some logic in a cause and effect relationship that allows one thing to lead to the other. And we just have to trust it without necessarily understanding it all. It's kind of like the idea of faith in religion, walking by faith and not by sight, not with a total understanding of what's going on, but we have to trust it. But the fact that we have to trust that it's happening, and we have to just understand that it's happening without totally, fully understanding the universe, that doesn't mean we have to be content with the effects of what happened. We don't have to be content with the effect of the cause and effect relationship, right? It's more of just a way of understanding the world, a way of letting yourself flow kind of in the world, accepting life as it happens in the present moment with happiness and all the good times, and then a deep understanding in all the bad times. And ultimately, I think that it's that deep understanding, especially in the bad times, that brings us to understand and recognize the need for change. And then finally brings us to create that change. And so that's really all I've got today. Again, really real meta conversation, something that's very abstract. People don't usually talk about this. And there's the kind of things that I want to talk about in the show when it's not, consumed by a political conversation. And so before I head out, I just got a few questions. One is, do you think the universe is intentional? And two, again, does everything happen for a reason? If so, what has happened in your life that makes you feel that way? Again, this is Join the Discourse. So you can, if you got anything to add, if you've got any questions for me, you can send me a DM. You can get on my Discord server at jd-originals.com. You can send me an email at jaden@jd-originals.com. Remember, you can always listen back on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and you can play back directly on Twitter now. And last thing, just check out my YouTube channel again at jd-originals.com, or I'm just Jaden Duenas on YouTube. You'll be able to see past episodes of Join the Discourse, past live streams I've done, different art videos, more live stream events like when I premiere a new artwork like I did last Wednesday. So other than that, I'm going to see you next time. I hope you tune back in on Saturday for a new conversation. We'll be talking about how Apple, or I guess Siri, hacked my dating life, and it should be interesting. So I hope you'll join the Discourse then, and thank you for watching.